Right.
Yeah.
Kia ora all, and welcome back to the Huddy Hui for 2022. 16 weeks away from the last episode we did, and we're only 3 days away from the start of the 2022 club season here in Wellington. Although our regular commentator, he's Adam Julian, he's been travelling the bits of the country, and he joins us from the lovely part of... Sorry, we've got a bit of lag going on there. Hello, Adam. Pre-season, after all.
Kia ora, Brad. Kia ora, everybody. It's good to be with you from Carmo in the far north, Ian Jones country. I see you've got Basin Reserve lawn seed there, Brad. I reckon the lawn seed might have melted at the Basin Reserve today. It was so dark during that West Indies-Australia Women's World Cup semi-final. The Australians into the World Cup final and looking unbeatable. Shane Warne's funeral at 9 o'clock tonight. What a champion he was. So sad that we lost the King of Spin during the off-season. It's been a very eventful off-season, Brad. A lot of the clubs not particularly well prepared for the Jubilee Cup. Wellington haven't had a game, but Huddy Boys Marist have a strong team this year, and our guest is from the Eagles, and he'll be hoping that they flourish in 2022.
Well, that's right, Adam. It's been a disjointed season, and we won't mention that C word that's been with us for the last 2 and a bit years. But that Basin Reserve lawn seed there, we might have to call it the Huddy Oval or something like that. Huddy Reserve. It's I'll give it a go this autumn. Anyway, our guest tonight is Manu Samoa Sevens and Test representative. He's also played for the Wellington Lions. He's also an outside back for Huddy Boys Marist, and he's had the privilege of joining Moana Pasifika in their inaugural year for 2022. Tomasi, Alosio, many thanks for coming on the Huddy Hui. Tell us about last night's game. What a special occasion it was, one, to play against the Auckland Blues, but the last few days for the Moana Pasifika have been outstanding, particularly Friday night when your team beat the Hurricanes.
Oh, cheers. Thanks for having me, lads. Yeah, just on last night, it was awesome to get an opportunity to make my Super Rugby debut. Obviously, 30 years later, and I finally got to debut, and it's probably a dream I was never going to give up on. And I was very thankful that I got to live that dream last night. And also going back to last Friday when our boys beat the Hurricanes. Oh, that was awesome. I was on the sideline of ball boy, so I was in amongst the action, and just seeing the boys never give up and have that self-belief was just inspiring to see. And I guess that inspiration and that self-belief carried through to the boys that we had last night. We had 13 debutants. We had guys get the call real last minute yesterday morning, and on Monday night, some boys had to get called in because we've got a couple of COVID cases, and I think the boys were outstanding last night. We kept it as simple as we could, and we just went out there and just really expressed ourselves and just really had fun out there last night against the Blues.
When did you get the opportunity to become a part of Moana Pasifika? How did that happen for you?
So I got the opportunity after the international test window last year when Samoa played Tonga in the Māori ABs. Not long after that, I got a phone call from Ezza that he gave me an opportunity to be with the Moana Pasifika for this season.
What was your response to that phone call? Were you surprised, or was that something that you felt you really deserved?
Oh, I was actually surprised, to be honest. It was kind of something I didn't expect, which was probably more pleasing at the time. So, yeah, when Ezza gave me the phone call, I was 100% all in, and I was just stoked. Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Manu Samoa gave a really decent account of themselves in that test window. Normally they've got no money, can't find their players. What was unique about the Samoan campaign last year?
I think the most unique thing was Selela Mapasua jumped on board. Obviously, new coach, New Zealand-based, and he gathered a real good coaching crew together. He had Tana Umanga, Tom Coventry, Andrew Goodman from the Crusaders, all world-class coaches. And I think what really stood out for me is he gave everyone a shot. He only had a small amount of players to choose from because we couldn't get the UK boys over due to COVID. So he gave everyone a shot, whether you're a club rugby, NPC, playing Super Rugby at the time. And when the boys came in, we were just all on the same level. Selala Maps set his expectations. The coaches set their expectations. And the boys were just, driving everything at a high standard of excellence.
Of course, you played in was sort of counted as a test match, but that game against the Māori All Blacks when you were hoping for a crowd, but unfortunately there was a restriction in place with 48 hours to go. Tell us about starting in that game for Manu Samoa against the Māori All Blacks. What an occasion that was.
Yeah, that was pretty special, and to do it at home was even more special. It was quite sad that it was restricted. Obviously, a couple of days before that, there were COVID cases in Wellington, so we had to go into level 2 or level 3, whatever it was, but we couldn't have crowds. But when I found out at the start of the week, I got the opportunity to start. It was something I really embraced. I was real thankful that MUPS believed in me to give me the 15 jersey to start in. So it was an opportunity that I really wanted to grab with both hands and make the most of it.
It's happened very quickly for you, Tomasi, test starter, and then Moana Pasifika contracted player.
Yep.
What was the biggest challenge with your family with all of this going on?
To be honest, probably wasn't so challenging with my family. They've been so supportive of me, in everything I've done. I've done 6 seasons with the Sevens where I was in and out of the country, and Michaela and my 2 girls were riding behind me. Mum, Dad, my siblings, they were always just so supportive of whatever pathway I chose to take with my rugby career. And then COVID hit back in 2020. The World Series got put on hold, and then from there I kind of fell into a bit of uncertainty of where my rugby was at. So I was playing a bit of club rugby, was training with the Lions, and then I shot off to Bermuda for a World 10 series they had starting over there. And then I was real thankful that MUPS gave me the opportunity last year. He selected me out of club rugby to represent Samoa at the international stage on 15s level.
Tell us about your time in the Sevens, what you learned, what's different from the Sevens as opposed to the 15s. And when you came home from Bermuda, did your kids recognise you with that haircut?
Sevens, lots of conditioning, lots of running. I was blessed to have good coaches throughout my Sevens career. We had the likes of Brian Lima, Dickie Fuimaono, who was also a great Sevens coach for Samoa, Damien McGrath, who's been a world-class coach, and then we had Sir Gordon Titchens. He was my last coach for Sevens. And I guess for Sevens, probably the thing that I learned most from Sevens was your mental toughness, just how much mental toughness you have to build. And it's amazing what your body can do when you really put your mind to it. And that's what was awesome about Titch, is he just really built that mental toughness upon us. He's real tough with his conditioning regimes, but it was just really there to build how mentally tough you are. And coming back from Bermuda, my girls, they didn't like the hairstyle at first, but they probably gotten quite used to it. So,
on the subject of mental toughness, explain how difficult the beginning of Super Rugby has been for Moana Pasifika, and how the hell did you beat the Hurricanes? The Hurricanes looked frightened at times with the Pasifika regression.
Yeah, it was very challenging in that we chose to go down to Queenstown and stay there extra longer. Unfortunately, I missed out on that trip down to Queenstown, but the boys made the trip down. They stayed there extra longer just to kind of protect our bubble and protect our families. And then we obviously done everything when we had caught COVID right at the start, and then it got into the other teams. So we were kind of we hadn't played as many games as we planned, but for us it was just about staying positive. And I guess just all that emotion built into the first game against Crusaders, where the boys just went very well. You know, they came out firing, great attitude, and then Chiefs come up. Obviously, I think personally, I think the informed side in Super Rugby at the moment, and they're awesome against us. Is very clinical, and they kind of taught us a lesson that we can't be too comfortable. And then we had a real good review, real good training week building up to Hurricanes, and I think we just come out with the right attitude. The boys, you know, didn't. We still believed in ourselves right to the last minute, went into overtime, and I think they just defended their hearts out, really protected our village, which was awesome to see.
Let's talk about being the first year of Moana Pasifika, having Pacific-based teams in Super Rugby has been a long time coming. There's the Fijian Drew along with yourself. But let's talk about the culture of Moana Pasifika, a new club. You've got important people like Sir Brian Williams and Michael Jones. What has been done in the background to really promote Moana Pasifika and also create a great team environment?
We've spoken about it, you know, right at the start when we first came in for preseason. Just you know, the shoulders of the giants that we stand on and the way they've paved the way for us to create what we have now. The likes of Sir Michael Jones, Sir BG, and everyone else in the background who's been able, you know, they said it's been 26 years in the making that they've tried to make this happen. And I guess that's really created such a warm environment and culture in our team that we're able to give back to our Pacific people, you know, those who don't get much opportunities from the Pacific Island. We're starting to finally get our opportunities now and give back to our people, as you know, so many Pacific Islanders has given so much to New Zealand rugby. So it's real nice to see it all come to fruition, and hopefully this is just a stepping stone to bigger and better things.
The Blues game last night saw 4 tries scored from rolling mauls. There was 1 try that Moana Pasifika scored where I saw numbers 9, 12 and 13 involved. Have you been practicing your mauls? Because that seems to be a very effective way to score tries for you.
I think, the boys fronted up very well in our forward pack. We try to keep it as simple as we can, and if that meant going to mauls and help us build momentum, then you know, so be it. So I guess the maul was just working for us well last night, and also our lineouts. You know, we're getting real clean lineout ball last night, so we're able to kind of you know, capitalize on that, and the boys were rewarded with some points.
Tell us about your try, and why do you think you couldn't win the game after Nipo Laulala was red carded?
On my try, I kind of, you know, I was in lots of space on the outside, and we were under advantage, which I knew from the far side, and then I called the cross kick to Lincoln McClutchy, and the boys relayed the message in. I guess I was just lucky that, you know, his kick was pretty accurate, and I had Netkins there to try and beat, and he probably just jumped a bit too early, and I was just really lucky to grab the ball in my hands. And when Nepo got sent off with a red card, I think we got disallowed that rolling maul try, which kind of hurt us. And then I guess we just probably weren't utilizing our kicking game as well as we should have to pin the Blues down in their area and kind of punish them. But they done very well to, you know, exit out of their 22 pretty well. And then we gave away a few penalties, which just marched them down the field, leading into that try off the line out.
How are you going to beat them on Saturday?
I guess we just really have to front up like we've been doing. You know, I guess when our forward pack is very dominant going forward, you know, strong in defence, it helps us build and create momentum, and just really, we really just want to get stuck into them early. The Blues, their quality side, you know, heaps of All Blacks. They're awesome last night with their forward pack and then their back line as well. So we just got to get stuck into them early and just be real physical with them.
Well, Tomasi, it's been fantastic having you on the Huddy Hui this evening. All of the best against the Blues on Saturday again, and all the best for the rest of Super Rugby Pacific, and go well.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, lads, and all the best for the club season.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Adam, Super Rugby, now the borders to Australia are open. We're going to see some games in New Zealand with New Zealand teams and also the Fiji and Jura as well. There's going to be that Super Weekend in Melbourne on Anzac Weekend. And Tomasi Alosio, he's been around the scene for a long time. He got that opportunity with Samoa in Test Rugby last year, and that's paid dividends for him getting into Moana Pasifika.
Wonderful to see Tomasi Alosio flourishing. I remember watching him in the first 15 at St Pat Silverstream in 2010. They were fourth in the round robin of the Premier 1 Championship. They upset Wellington College 12-10 and St Pat's Town 21-13 in the Premiership semi-finals and final. And they almost made the national top four. They were beaten on a last-minute try by Gisborne Boys High School, 15-11. He's been a stalwart at Huddy Hui Marist, where he's basically covered every position in the backline, and thrilled with his exciting and sometimes temperamental play. He's a model of consistency on the 7 circuit. Some of those athletes are the toughest and fittest around. And to see him in Super Rugby and scoring a spectacular try last night was a real joy. Tomasi Alosio, a teacher aide, a parent, and a top man.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to see Tomasi later in the season for Huddy Hui Marist. And speaking about Huddy Hui Marist, they have Norths this weekend. There's also the replay of the final from last year in the Jubilee Cup, which is Marist St. Pat's and Tawa. But there's been, as always, Adam, some gains and losses throughout the season, and it's Huddy Hui Marist that seem to be the team that have kept a pretty consistent side. They haven't lost too many players, and they look very strong.
Well, Huddy Hui Marist were a semi-final team last year. They eliminated Old Boys University, the Swindale Shield champions and reigning Jubilee Cup winners, from the competition. Who could ever forget Brandon Lawson's sideline conversion at Nanville Park? And what a thrill it was to see Brandon Lawson make his Wellington Lions debut last year. The Wellington Lions, with the most atrocious haircuts of all time and missing the semi-finals, didn't provide us a lot of joy, but Brandon Lawson was an exception to that rule. He played very well, and in fact scored a try in that resounding 54-7 win against Northland. Huddy Hui Marist expected to be a very strong side this year. Typically they assemble a big robust forward pack, and two of their best new acquisitions are Sam Morgan and Kobe Joe Vulu, youngsters out of the St Pat Silverstream first 15 last year, who won the Premier 1 Championship. Kobe Joe Vulu is an accomplished volleyball player and a fleet-footed fullback, and Morgan was a flanker who started the season in rather poor fashion when he got red carded against Wellington College, but he came back really strongly, and by the end of the season was one of the best players in the Premiership and a mature leader too.
And of course, some of the bigger clubs have had big turnovers as well. Northern United, Gerard Vasavalu is going over to coach Parramatta Plymouton, taking some players with him. And OBU's had a few leave too and a few retirements, Adam. So it will be an interesting season for what has OBU's been a regular, consistent side, but they always do get those university students through the system.
Well, Sam Reid has gone to North Harbour, and the competition will be very different this year with that. Jonathan Fuimo'ono, 4 Jubilee Cup wins, 185 games, that towering presence in the front row. He'll be sorely missed. But Old Boys University, such a strong club. They won the Swindale Shield last year. They've won 4 Jubilee Cups this decade. Their Colts have won 8 of the last 10 championships, so expect them to contend again. I like the look of Auries this year. Brad Isaac Bracewell has made the move from Haitaido Park to the Polo Ground. And while on the subject of Auries, it would be remiss not to mention Dave Meeklem. One of the great losses in the off-season was that of Dave Meeklem, Auries stalwart, Scots College coach, funny bugger, mentor of kids. Dave passed away after a long battle with cancer. His funeral at Rongotai College on the 14th of January was a joyous occasion, attended by well over 700 people. It was a wonderful send-off, and thoughts and prayers to Dave Meeklem's friends and family.
Exactly, Adam. He was a real legend to the game in Wellington. He was also in his last year was the vice president of the rugby union, a fitting honour for a great man. And he asked people to turn up to his funeral in their favourite rugby jerseys. And what a fitting way to go at his old stomping ground. Well, Adam, we go on about losing many great people, but in Wellington on the weekend, we lost another great sporting personality. He was instrumental in the Saints and developing young basketball players, and particularly mentoring and developing Steve Adams to where he is now in the NBA, and that is Kenny McFadden. What a loss for Wellington basketball and New Zealand basketball.
Wellington is a poorer city without the presence of Kenny McFadden. Anytime you went down to the ASB gym, anytime you went down to the old Newtown gym in the past, Kenny McFadden was there from 6 a.m. Sparrows hours right through until closing time, coaching kids basketball. It didn't matter whether you were black, white, or yellow, a professional prospect or a genuine battler. Kenny McFadden had time for you and helped you flourish in basketball. Kenny passed away on Friday at the age of 61. He was ranked the most influential import in NBL history. In 1985, he hit a three-pointer in extra time of the NBL Grand Final against Auckland, and that was an event watched by 715,000 people. Now,
Wow.
Put that in perspective, the population in New Zealand at the time was 3.5 million, so over a quarter of the population watched the 1985 NBL Final between the Saints and Auckland. There were only 2 television channels at the time, and the bars shut at 10 o'clock, and the country was captivated by Kenny McFadden and basketball. Basketball is now the second most popular secondary school sport in the country. There's more basketball players than there are rugby players, footballers, and cricketers. Kenny won 4 NBL championships with the Wellington Saints. He averaged over 25 points a game, and then he became a coach. He won an additional 4 championships as a coach. The Saints went 20-0 under his guidance in 2017 and 2019, but that's only half the story. He mentored Stephen Adams, picked him up for practice, took him to the gym, spent almost every day with the champion NBA player to get him into the NBA. Dion Brewster, a tall black, a wonderful basketball player who was the Saints' best last year and yet another championship success, told me that Kenny McFadden used to take him from Johnsonville to Miramar to Silverstream all before 9 o'clock in the morning so he could train and flourish in basketball. Kenny McFadden had fingers that looked like Dracula. Such was the commitment that he put into the game, and his loss is a terrible one. He had time for everyone, a magnificent man. So R.I.P. Kenny McFadden.
Exactly right, Adam. Kenny McFadden, a sad loss for Wellington basketball and New Zealand basketball. Well, we've got a few things to say thank you to, Adam. We're very grateful for Mike Pinfold sponsoring Huddy Sports again this year. He's come on board, and I can't quite announce it yet, Adam, but we do have another sponsor, and hopefully in the next 2 days we'll be able to announce that on our website, huddysports.co.nz, and on Facebook.
Well, we're always grateful for the sponsors. Mike Pinfold, what a great man he is. Of course, his son is the best player in the world. We know that from the money he gave us last year, and we're very grateful for Mike Pinfold and anyone who sponsors the program. Look at that fine-looking host, Brad Hudson. He's a top fella. Help him out.
Well, exactly, Adam. And of course, we've got no water polo on Thursday, but on Friday we're going to be covering the National League water polo. That is going to be the Hutt women versus the Atlantis women. They're coming down from Auckland. They'll be live on 8 o'clock, and hopefully we'll be able to tell you in the next 48 hours what game we are going to be doing for club rugby this weekend. We're really looking forward to it. There's also something else, Adam. We're not going to reveal it yet. It's supposed to be coming out soon, but something to do about this sign here called Kiss My Ex. We won't reveal much, but we know it's got something to do about that, doesn't it? That sign, yes.
It does. You've heard it on the radio, and it's a smash hit. It's captivated New Zealand ears in the summer. And I tell you, when you see the remnants of Kiss My Axe. It's going to be absolutely magnificent.
Oh, yes. Right, that's it. That's the Huddy Hui for episode 41 for today. We're going to be on every week during the club season on Wednesdays from 7 o'clock because that's when most teams are training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we're going to be on YouTube this year with our games and also the Hui. We'll keep advertising on Facebook, but please subscribe to YouTube.
And we might be on Spotify as well. We are.
We are on Spotify and iHeartRadio. We're taking over the world in terms of all that. We'll be the next major sporting corporation. But anyway, that is the Huddy Hui for tonight. Take care of one another.